People ask me all the time, what do you think about when things get tough? And I tell them I don't. Thinking is the problem. Don't think, just do. Don't think about getting to the race start even this morning. Just get out of bed. Yeah, I mean, the hardest part is the first step, right? It's just getting out the door. So look at your life through the lens of being the best animal that you can be.
Welcome to the Hard Way podcast with Joe Sena, founder and CEO of Spartan Races. We're teaching you how to overcome your obstacles in your life the same way we teach our 10 million plus Spartans to overcome obstacles on the course, with insight from the smartest, most accomplished experts from every corner of the world. Get ready to elevate your life today.
Joe Sena, CEO and founder of Spartan and host of the Hard Way podcast. Got my good buddy Dean Karnazes on. He's in Athens, not in a really exciting place in Athens, apparently in a laundry room. You're in a laundry room, Dean?
I don't take the easy way, Joe. I'm following your reading. Yeah.
For those listening or watching that don't know Dean, Dean is actually a Spartan. Like if we were to draw blood from Dean, we would see this guy's, history comes from ancient Sparta. So you could be Leonidas's great grandson.
I hope I have like even half of 1%. That'd be something else. But you've been there. You've seen Sparta. So I feel like we're kind of brothers in that regard. Not a whole lot of people have ever been to Sparta.
We are brothers anyway. Spiritually, you're a good man. Gotten to know you over the years. Incredibly inspiring. We've bumped into each other in marathons. I've had my children running marathons in different races, and we've bumped into each other, which is always fun. You don't like running, but you run a lot.
It's funny, isn't it?
Tell everybody, because most people hate running. It's just exhausting. They don't want to get off the couch. They don't want to go do it. Let's talk to people. You've probably run 1 million miles by now.
I'm going to pump your events, but sign up for a Spartan race. So many people have told me, I used to love to run, but it kind of got boring, whatever. And then I discovered Spartan, obstacle course racing, and it changed everything. So, Spartan racing, there's running, but it's broken up. So it's a little more approachable. It's a little more interesting, a little more exciting.
It is funny. Like, it's going to sound self-serving, and thank you for that, but it's going to sound self-serving. I don't know why it is, but everybody, I'm back with my husband, I'm back with my wife. I lost 200 pounds. I gave up drugs. I gave up drinking. Like Spartan, mutter, just getting outside, doing something hard, fighting obstacle. Like it does change everything. But for you, you were in a bar. You were drinking, eating maybe a burger, and you decided to go do something?
I blamed my running career on bad tequila. So yeah, literally, I was, I took the kind of the easy path through life. I went to college, and I went to graduate school, then I went to business school, and had this cush corporate job in San Francisco. And on the night of my 30th birthday, I was in a bar, drinking with my buddies, like most of us do. And at midnight, I told them, "Hey, I'm leaving." And they said, "Why? It's your 30th birthday. Let's have another round of tequila to celebrate." And I said, "No, I'm going to run 30 miles to celebrate instead." And they looked at me and they said, "But you're not even a runner. You're drunk." And I said, "I am, but I'm still going to do it." And I walked out of the bar. I didn't even own running gear at the time, but I had on these comfortable silk boxer shorts, like silk underwear. And I'll never forget, I threw my pants down the alleyway, and I just started stumbling south into the night, knowing that Half Moon Bay was 30 miles away. And somehow I made it. I don't know if you consider it running. It's kind of hobbling, and when the alcohol wore off, I thought, what the hell are you doing? But it just felt right, Joe. I just I felt like this is what I love to do. Yeah, sure. It's not it's not M&A. It's not whatever. It's not some prestigious corporate gig, but it's who I am. Like, I'm a runner. I love doing this shit, and just be who you are. I mean, that's the most authentic path you can take through life. And that was over 3 decades ago. And
you haven't stopped since that night?
No. Every time I say I'm going to take it easy this year, I end up signing up for more and more races. I mean, I if you look at my event calendar, you'd say you're out of your mind. I don't know. I can't say no. And, I still love it as much as when I first began. And in a lot of ways, I love it more because now, the challenge is, how long can you go? Like, how long can you keep this up? I'm no longer, concerned about the podium. I gave that up a long time ago. Maybe for my age group, but, the only people who care if you won your age group are people in your age group. So, I know I'll usually end up in the top three of my age group, but I want to see if I can be in the top three of my age group when I'm 70 and 80 and even 90.
A lot of people listening are saying, yeah, but his knees must be shot, right? His hips must be destroyed. He probably, doesn't run very well anymore. How do you stay healthy? And what do you say to those people?
I would say that the quantity needs to decrease and the quality needs to increase. So, yeah, I mean, I've spent a lot of effort on cross training, on strength building, on fine tuning my diet, to reduce foods that give me inflammation. I've backed way off my overall mileage, my weekly mileage, but I've added a lot of high quality HIIT training. I do a lot of forced hypoxic training. So I don't know if I ever told you this, you probably love it, but it's hill repeats, breathing only through my nose. So forcing myself not to open my mouth. And it's miserable. And, and you're barely crawling and you're breathing like you're about to die. And you're moving at, 2 or 3 miles an hour, but it is raised my VO2 max to like the level of a 40-year-old, and I'm over 60.
You should just duct tape your mouth shut. I know the ancient Spartans, they would fill their mouths with water, the story goes, and they'd go on a 10-mile run, and then they had to spit the water out at the end of the run during, their agoge training when they were young.
Yeah, I mean, I forget who I'm talking to. Only you would know that fact, yeah.
So, no, I try to breathe through my nose as often as possible when I'm doing stuff that's hard. So, big believer in that. I do have to get that sleep tape. I don't know if you've tried it where you tape your mouth shut and breathe through your nose all night. I'm going to try to get that today, actually. What's the hardest thing you've done to date? I mean, again, you've run 1,000 events. What's the hardest challenge you've taken on?
I once ran 50 marathons in all of the 50 U.S. states in 50 days. And that was back in 2006. And I still think that was kind of the toughest thing I've ever done, just because it lasted so long. Like you just never thought a finish would ever come. And, nowadays people do shit like this all the time, right? It's almost commonplace to hear about people running 100 marathons, 100 days and so forth. But this is kind of the first attempt at doing something, off the race course like this on your own. And, the running combined with the logistics, it was just grueling. And every day, doing press, it's like it was kind of a media circus. So getting up at 4 a.m, doing the radio shows, running the marathon, doing the afternoon news, getting in a bus and driving 8 hours to the next state, sleeping 3 or 4 hours and repeating the whole thing for 50 days in a row. It was grueling.
How'd you get through those moments where you wanted to quit? Because most people would have quit.
I think I do what you probably do when things get really tough, and that's to stop thinking. People ask me all the time, what do you think about when things get tough? And I tell them I don't. Thinking is the problem. Don't think, just do. We had a plan, it's kind of like plan the race the plan. And at points I said, don't think about getting to the race start even this morning. Just get out of bed. Okay, just get to the hotel sink and splash some water on your face. Okay, just put it on your running shorts one leg at a time. Tie this shoe, tie that shoe. Get to the start. Then just put one foot in front of the other to the best of your ability as you're running. Be in the here and now, the present moment of time. We're never in the present moment of time. I mean, even now as we're discussing being in the present moment of time, your mind's thinking about 100 things, right? You're thinking about where's the next event? What am I ask Dean next? What's for lunch? What's for breakfast? Our minds are just so active, and to quiet your mind and just focus on one thing is really clarifying. And I think we can get through anything if we can just quiet our mind and be in the here and now. But it takes discipline, Joe. As you know, like I said, your mind wanders and you've got to force it back to your next footstep.
As you're describing it, I'm thinking about somebody that's listening or watching this, or somebody that reads a book about what you just said. I don't think anyone can grasp it unless they go out and do something really hard and experience exactly what you were saying, which is one foot in front of the other, right? One bite at a time eats the elephant. You agree with that? Like a lot of people, they listen to podcasts, they read, like, just won't get it unless you get out there and do it.
I completely agree. You can't teach someone this through instruction. It's something you have to experience yourself.
What's next? What's the next big thing on your list?
Well, I did an 80-kilometer race last weekend. It was just a foot race. And then I've got a 110 mile race coming up in a couple of weeks, and it goes from a place called ancient Nemea in Greece to ancient Olympia. So it finishes in Olympia, Greece, where the Olympics were born in 776 BC. And it's a historic route. It's pretty tough. It's got, I think, 15,000 feet of climbing and descending, and 28-hour cutoff. It's hot in Greece. You've been here in the summer. It's warm. So that's the next race I got coming out, the next big one. But beyond that, I'm trying to put together this run from the lowest point on Earth to the highest point on Earth. So, the Badwater Ultra Marathon, because you've done it. It starts at Badwater, which is the lowest point in the Western Hemisphere, 282 feet below sea level, and then it finishes on the side of Mount Whitney, which is the highest point in the lower 48 states in the contiguous U.S. I want to run from the lowest point on Earth to the highest point, and the highest point we all know is Mount Everest. Do you know the lowest point on Earth?
I would imagine it's down in an ocean somewhere. I mean, if you want to do it right, we're gonna have to tie
the
a rock.
Marianas Trench.
Yeah, we're gonna have to tie a rock to you and throw you in. I'm sorry, Dean.
It's in Jordan, so it's the Dead Sea in Jordan, and I want to do it with Charlie Engle, who's someone as well, and we've been talking about doing this forever. Yeah.
I love it. And how long do you think that'll take you?
It's a tricky question, because the most direct route goes to Iraq and Iran, and that would take us maybe 4 or 5 months. But, we'd have to get permission to run through Iraq and Iran. The longer route is up through the stands to Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan. And that probably takes 6 to 7 months. And that's just to get to base camp, Joe. You've got to arrive. There's only a certain window of time you need to arrive at base camp to be able to climb Everest.
You got to be there in May.
Well, there's a secondary window now, unfortunately, just because of the climate situation. So the window in May is getting more open, and there's potentially a secondary window in the fall.
I think if you go through the stands, you'll get a lot of horse meat along the way.
You know it. And kumis. You know what kumis is?
No, tell me what kumis. What's kumis?
Kumis is, a mare, which is a pregnant female horse. It's warm mare's milk, and it's fermented, and they ferment it. So it's like a yogurt. It's like mixing stale champagne with yogurt and drinking it. That's kumis.
Sounds fantastic. Other than running through running and only breathing through your nose, doing sprints, training by running across Iraq and Iran, what would you give the regular person as a regimen? Like, I've interviewed a lot of CEOs, a lot of Olympians, et cetera, and they've said to me, Joe, I don't want to go out and train. I know I got to do 5 hours on the bike. I know I got to go run 20 miles today. I don't want to do it. I'm exhausted. I've been doing it for 10 years. So I lie to myself and I say, well, we're just going to do an hour today. We're just going to do a half hour today. And then that turns into ultimately what I had to get on the clock that day. Thoughts on that? Like, what could we tell the folks that are at home?
Yeah, I mean, the hardest part is the first step, right? It's just getting out the door. And if you can do that, the momentum usually gains on itself. But I would say a couple of practical things. I mean, we are the sum of our habits, right? So look at your life through the lens of being the best animal that you can be. So everything you do is look through this filter. And so that has to do with your training, your cross training, your sleep patterns, your interpersonal relationships, try to optimize those, your diet, your race day nutrition, as well as your everyday nutrition. Try to optimize all of those. And then take baby steps. Do little things like saying to yourself 1 or 2 days a week, from the moment I get out of bed until the moment I crawl back into bed, I'm not going to sit down. I mean, if it's easier for me to say because I've got a home office. But if you're going to an office, sure, you might have to get in the car or get on a fleet train, whatever. But when you don't have to sit, don't sit. I mean, even right now, Sena, you can see I'm standing. So all day long, I haven't sat down once, and I'm doing HIIT training throughout the day. And these are like 8 to 10 minute cycles of push-ups, pull-ups, chair dips, burpees, sit-ups, just quick things like that. That are, you can see the finish line. It's 8 to 10 minutes of pain, of suffering. And I do that 4 or 5 times a day.
Little micro workouts.
Little micro workouts throughout the course of the day. Kind of like, the Spartans did, or kind of like, the academy. I mean, Plato's academy, the gymnasium is a word for school. I mean, the ancient Greeks, their school was a gymnasium. I mean, imagine going to Gold's Gym and having Harvard professors there teaching you, in between workouts. The lines get blurred between life and working out. It's all kind of one and the same.
Well, so the ancient Greeks, right? They believed mind and body. And somewhere along the lines, I had my son just went to college. He brought home a friend, very, very smart kid from Stanford. And the kid did AP calculus, when he was in 5th grade. I said, how'd you get into Stanford? He said, well, everybody in Stanford has to stand out. They have to have something that makes them special to get in. I go, what was your thing? What did you do special? He goes, well, I successfully launched a satellite while I was in high school. I said, but it doesn't work out. It doesn't work out. I made him run 4 miles one day, 4 miles the next day, nearly broke him. And I said, you can't just be academic. You can't just be smart. It's got to be, mind and body coming together. And the ancient Greeks, they understood that, right?
Yeah, I mean, Aristotle, his students were known as the Peripatetics, which means the wanderers, because he thought that you couldn't absorb thoughts or create thoughts unless you were moving. So he never taught inside a classroom. He taught while he moved around, walking. And that's Aristotle. I mean, this is the 325 BC.
By the way, he knew what he was doing because, again, anybody listening, anybody watching, Dean will tell you, I will tell you, you really do absorb better if you're out there hiking, running, sunlight, rain, doesn't matter. You agree? I mean, sitting, like you said, sitting's terrible.
Yeah, and motion stirs emotion.
All right, so people are going to breathe through the nose. They got to just get outside. They can do micro workouts. What's one go-to workout that everybody should do every single day? Is it push-ups? Is it a 1 mile run? Is it stairs? What's the one thing everybody's got to do every day?
If there's just one thing you have to do, I mean, you know the answer, burpees. We all hate them, but it's the biggest bang for your workout buck is a burpee.
Biggest ROI. I agree with that, burpees. How do people find you, Dean?
Someone said if you Google Dean, I'm the first person that comes up. So I'm fairly public. I mean, yeah, just Google my name. I've got a website. I'm on social media. I get around. I mean, I don't know when I'm going to bump into you next, but it's great to be able to actually talk to you for, a bit of time. Because every time I see you, it's at like some race and we're both moving in, 1,000,000 miles an hour doing something. But it's really nice to, sit down, at least you're sitting, and have a chat.
I always love seeing you. I always love talking to you. The ancient Spartans spoke very little. They use a word like if. Spartans, put down your weapons. If we come there, we're going to kill all of you. And they just respond with if. And so when Dean and I email each other, it's usually just one word. So this is nice. This is nice sitting with you.